discussion. All right. So, Sherry, we are in our last few minutes. Why don't you go ahead and see if anybody would like to raise their hand after I have talked constantly for 2 hours. If anybody still is actually here with us.
Yes, I think everyone is, and I think we're all going more.
Oh, okay. Well,
I see some heads nodding.
Well, okay.
So
don't worry. I always teach everything that I say that I'm going to teach, and it is a very rich subject. And keep in mind that next week, it's about the interface between natural and allopathic medicine. And a lot of what I'm talking about now is part of that also. So we will get everything. No worries. Okay, so how do we raise our hands?
Yes, so I've just put some instructions in the chat and I'll give them verbally now. So go to the bottom of your Zoom window. You'll see the word participants. Click on that. A white panel pops up to the right-hand side, and then at the bottom of that white panel, in the bottom right corner, this little button in gray says raise hand. Just go ahead and click that. That will raise your hand. If you're on mobile device, tap your screen, tap more, and then you'll see the raise hand option there. All right, so it is being located. So let's go to our first hand raise, Dr. Sarat. Go ahead.
Hello, Dr. G.
So, great class, and it was really good. One thing which I would like to add with your permission is, in addition to humors, we should also look into the attributes of the symptoms. Those are the 10 opposite qualities which we normally look for: hot, cold, rough, smooth.
Exactly. Okay, good. So this is another aspect of, it's another system within Ayurvedic medicine. So Ayurvedic medicine has the system of the 3 doshas, the humors, Vata, Pitta, Kapha. That's usually the beginning point for the study. But within each dosha, there's also 5 subdivisions. So there's 5 Vatas, 5 Pittas, 5 Kaphas. And then what Dr. Adanki is referring to are the qualities, gunas. This is another system. There are 2 systems of gunas. One is 10 pairs of physical gunas, okay? As he mentioned, hot, cold, dry, wet, okay? Heavy, light, slow, fast, these kind of things. And then there are 3 qualities of the mental gunas, okay? Which are basically sattva, rajas, and tamas, our spiritual mind, our fiery, aggressive mind, and our dull, heavy mind very, very quickly. And then there's a system of the 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, space. And the elements are made of the qualities, and the qualities comprise the elements. And then the elements are part of the doshas. And so these are the primary systems that all fit together: the doshas, the elements, and the qualities. So yes, thank you for adding that. Okay, somebody else.
Let's squeeze in one more.
Yeah, and then I will take some really good ones came in on the chat, but let's go ahead and take another call.
Okay, a live, and then we'll go to the written. That's perfect. Nancy.
Hello, Nancy.
Hello. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Do you know anything about pure encapsulations, supplements?
That's the name of a company?
Yes.
I've heard the name, and I'm not familiar through personal experience. Would you like to give us a testimonial or recommendation? Because that is one of the purposes of this class. You know, I am sharing the things that I am well acquainted with, that I can definitely say, okay, these are good people, good sources of education, good products, but I'm not saying these are the only ones out there. And so anybody who has something they feel, especially if you have extensive experience with it, extensive positive experience, if there's something that you would like to recommend, please add this to our discussion. And so what?
I am a naturopathic doctor, and I use them extensively because of their quality control.
Okay, excellent. All right, so we have a referral for, say it again.
Pure encapsulations.
Pure encapsulations. Okay, good. Pure encapsulation. So please add that to your list of links to do a little bit of research on. This comes recommended from a naturopathic doctor with extensive use, and she's impressed by their quality control. Good. Okay, excellent. Thank you for adding that. And anybody else also. I mean, there's so many companies out there, and that was one of the reasons why I decided to do it in this particular way of just give you a core group of 5 or 6 companies. But then when you add in the Ayurvedic sources, it's more. Because I have found that it's actually better to really know less companies really well, you know, than to poorly know or have less experience with like a whole bunch of them. So my recommendations are just based on my own personal experience, but anybody please add, you know, share, progress, any questions, confusions, or any of that. All right, now, here's something that came in the chat, and this is a good question. You said that herbs don't have lists of side effects. Okay, but according to Michael Moore and other herbalists, they can or do interact with pharmaceuticals, like St. John's wort and antidepressant drugs. I'd like to hear about more of this. Okay, now I did not say that they don't have lists of side effects. Okay, they do have lists of side effects. It's just that they don't have the same kind of side effects a lot of times. So you remember that list that we just looked at with thyroxine? Well, there's hardly any herbs that are going to do that. Now, again, you remember that I qualified that statement, and I said most common herbs. All right. Now, there are lots of plants out there that'll kill you. Okay. And there's lots of semi-toxic herbs that are used by naturopathic practitioners in very, very minute doses. All right. 4 or 5 drops of the tincture of poke root, for example, Baptisia, wild indigo, some of these really strong lymphatic cleansers. These are things that are extremely beneficial, but they have to be used very, very carefully. Those are the semi-toxic clinical level of herbs. Most of what is available at the commercial retail level are things that don't have that kind of danger, all right, those kind of risks. Now, when you look at the list of herb-drug interactions, this is something we're going to look at next week also, because this is where, you know, the two paradigms of medicine are meeting each other, and where there's so much potential and where there's so many potential problems happening also. We will talk about herb-drug interaction next week. That's one of our topics. But guess what you're going to learn? You're going to learn that the majority of these interactions are actually positive, okay? So what does that mean? First of all, can herbs create side effects? Yes, all herbs can create side effects. You can drink too much peppermint tea and give yourself, you know, acid reflux. You can take too much of anything. And the more sensitive you are, the more this becomes an issue. You know, that's why people, when they have really complicated chronic inflammatory immunological disorders, things can work really well at first. And then after a couple of weeks, they could actually start to have adverse reactions because of the body's metabolizing them differently or something. So herbs can create side effects. There's no doubt they can create side effects. It's just that you look at the list of the side effects of an herb and you look at the side effects of medications, you're going to recognize that herbs have far less really serious side effects. The side effects tend to be mild and transient, okay? And furthermore, there's only a couple of them that are really addictive, with the main one being cannabis, okay? And A lot of the medications have very, very dangerous withdrawal phases. So if you compare herbs and drugs, it's like the drugs are way more dangerous and they have way more side effects than herbs do. Now, mixing herbs and drugs together is a new field, but what's coming out is that mostly it is a theoretical concern. There are a few cases that are definitely clear examples of don't do this. Don't take blood thinning herbs like ginkgo if you're on a blood thinning drug, okay? Because it will increase the likelihood of bleeding, all right? And the example of don't take St. John's wort with SSRIs is also a theoretical concern, but it is also something that is practical as well. And that is that St. John's wort detoxifies your liver, which drops the level of the medication in your bloodstream. So it's actually helping your body, but it's reducing the effectiveness of the drug, you see? So that's one of the things that we see. Now, here's the reality of it is that there are also ways that are now being studied and applied more and more to enhancing the benefits of the drugs so that you can take less of them and you can take an herbal supplement to potentize it. And this is a big area of research that's coming out, but I'll guarantee you that in 10 years, it's going to be pretty common that herbs and drugs are used together in a really targeted, individualized kind of way, because especially with the antimicrobials developing resistance, you know, or the anti-cancer drugs developing resistance, or everything developing resistance, the herbs are going to be brought in more and more so that less of the medication will be required, and that way it'll have more longevity and there will be less kinds of side effects. So when people think herb-drug interactions, they tend to think first negative, but it's actually only a handful of things. A lot of things are theoretical. Only a handful of things are really truly a concern. And the bigger opportunity is in the positive herb-drug interactions. And then the last thing to keep in mind, I heard a study from a qualified speaker on this recently. He said somewhere between 40 and 50 million Americans take herbs on a daily basis with their prescription drugs, okay? So I'm assuming that that isn't, you know, contributing to 40 or 50 million emergency room visits every year. I'm assuming that the result of that study is that people are taking herbs and medications fairly safely all the time, okay? There's a handful of things we have to know about, and those things are important. Okay, so Sherry, just let me check with you. I know it's time to sign off, and I'm sorry that we all have to go. As you can tell, I'm just getting warmed up. And Sherry, I want to just make sure that you got all of these things from the chat copied over so that I can answer them next week.
Yes.
And I will do that. Everybody who asks questions, I will discuss it or post it next week. And let's see, where are we going to be next week? Next Thursday is going to be the 5th of November. And so I predict that it's going to be an interesting week. And I would like to wish all of you good health, mental and physical good health. And don't forget that we don't have to watch the news. And we can spend more time in our garden and doing our self-care routines. And the world's going to keep going on anyway. So with that, I just want to say thank you to everybody for being here and for your interest in this very serious subject and very meaningful and important subject, and your contributions and your questions. And Sherry, thank you for hosting us. So have a safe week, a wonderful week, study everything, do your homework, and I'll see you next Thursday.
Thank you, David. Goodbye, everyone.